After creating $10 million companies 4 times, I've learned something painfully important. When your business gets big, you might think getting new customers or selling more is the hardest part, but that is not true at all. The real challenge is all this behind the scenes stuff that keeps your business from growing smoothly. We call this operations. Now, operations isn't exciting. It doesn't really get much attention online, which is why it's hard to find good things about it online. So who am I? My name's Abdul Faruqi. I've generated over $150 million in sales online. And today I'm going to share exactly everything that I've learned about operations. And trust me, I made a lot of real world mistakes figuring this out. And I don't want you to make the same ones. So when you follow this 3-point framework, you'll understand exactly how to grow your business without imploding it from the inside, what to avoid when scaling, where 95% of the people make these mistakes, and you can avoid this very easily as well. And lastly, how to free yourself so you're not stuck in your business forever. Yes, that is possible. I've got a few 8-figure companies where I spend maybe 2 hours a week just making sure things are running fine. So let's get into it. First, you have to understand your business machine. What are you actually optimizing for in your business? Are you optimizing for equity value for a sale in the future? Or are you optimizing for cash flow? The two have different goals. So you have to understand what is the output that you're looking for in your business. For example, if you have a cash flow course online coaching business, well, you have to understand 95% of the time, this is going to be a purely cash flow business because of too much key man risk. It's not a business that you can sell. So optimize for cash flow, not try to build something to sell and sacrifice your cash flow so that one day, you can have an exit in the future. When you have that key man risk, you're not going to have an exit. Like you look at Tony Robbins' business, it's not something that he's going to be able to sell, but he can cash flow that business so that he can use that cash flow to invest into private equity investments. And today, for someone like Tony Robbins, his passive investments make him more money than the active income that he generates from his cash flow businesses. So understand what is your output, what is the outcome of the business that you're creating, and optimize for that. Whereas on the other hand, if you have a equity business, now you might have an e-commerce company where, like my friend Vessi Footwear, he's got waterproof shoes, and they are using their cash flow to reinvest into the growth of the brand. They're operating on low margins so that they can keep on building up the infrastructure of their footwear company and one day position themselves for $100 million to $1 billion exit. They know to get there, it's going to take 5 to 10 years, and they're going to sacrifice being able to pay themselves a massive paycheck, but yeah, they'll pay themselves just enough so that one day when they exit and they get $100 million sale, all the owners walk away with $25 million, $50 million. So that is what you need to learn to optimize for. Now, once you know the outcome, then you have to think about the machine that you're building as well. So what is the machine that you're creating to optimize for that outcome? For example, when it comes to creating YouTube videos, the machine behind that or the production system behind that is first thinking about the YouTube video idea and the title. The second step is designing thumbnail with the title as well, like finalizing the title words and having a thumbnail attached to it. That is going to bring in the click. The third step is writing the script for the hook, right? The first 30 seconds of the video. That's the third step. Then after that is scripting the rest of the script, the body of the script mainly, right? That's the next step. The step after that is editing the script. Then after that, you're shooting the script. After it's shot, the editor is editing the script, and then you're reviewing the script. And after reviewing the script, you decide whether to send it back to the editor for further edits. If it's good to go, then upload it on YouTube. So that is the entire production system when it comes to creating YouTube videos. With your business, you have your own production system as well. And for a online coaching business, as an example, and you can do this for any other, like every business as well, you have to map out your machine. What does that look like? So for a coaching business, if you have a cold traffic funnel, then the first step is the ad. Then after the ad, you go into the opt-in. Then after the opt-in, there's the VSL, video sales letter. Then there's an application form. Then after that, there is the calendar. From a calendar, they go into a setter, which sets the call for the closer, and closer closes. And then from closing, there's an onboarding call, and then there's fulfillment, whether it's the material or any done for you elements. Hopefully you have a successful student. Then it goes into a testimonials, and then from there send them into a higher ticket program or mastermind. And this is the production system of the coaching business. So whatever business that you're in, map out the production system. Once you map this out, you might find that even within all these steps, there's a production system within that. So for example, that very first step, which is ad, there's a system under the ad. So map that out as well. Well, for the ad, first you have to think of the ideas. Then after that, you have to script the ideas, script the hook, create the body, and then you shoot the ad, and then you send it to the editor. So every step has a step under it. And part of operations is laying all of this out and then thinking about it and looking at it and understanding two things. Which one of these steps is under optimized? Which step is the weakest link? And maybe, getting a better editor if that's something that you need to do and optimize further, or, looking at your sales process and understanding, hey, you know what? I need a better sales team. So which ones are the 80-20, the 20% of the activities which are going to bring the 80% of the impact? Really thinking about that. Or step number 2 is thinking about, where do I have the bottleneck, right? Maybe you don't have enough salespeople, and realizing, or setters, as setters are also known as SDR, sales development reps in other fields. And then adjusting that bottleneck, and you realize, okay, once I have enough SDRs, now my next bottleneck is I need to spend more money on ads, because now I can handle more. But in order to spend more money, I have to increase my line of credit and whatnot, or a credit limit. So once you lay out your production cycle, now you have your entire operational map of your business, what you need to be doing to go from $1 million a year to $10 million a year. And then from there, expanding further as well. Now, as you expand your operation, you come across something that almost killed my business. And this word that I'm about to say sounds good, but avoid it like the plague. So once we started doing a few $1 million, we started hearing this word and this phrase as well. The phrase was, well, what got us here won't get us there. And I heard that over and over again. And the second phrase, well, we need to be more professional. And that is just a whole bunch of BS, right? Like if you grew your business from 0 to, let's say, $5 million a year, and these professional managers start telling you, hey, you know what, we need to be more professional. We need to create more management, hierarchy, systems, reporting, KPIs. Okay, cool. There's a lot of turds in that whole statement. And yeah, there's some sliver of, good stuff. Yes, it's important to have accountability, but creating more management does not solve the issue. Right? The second point, what I'm trying to make here, is you don't need more management. You need better players. Let's say you look at a soccer team, right? A soccer team has 10 players and 1 coach. In order to win the championship, you don't need more coaches. And you also don't need more players if you can avoid it, right? What you need are better players. And that is the same thing with a team. A players, you can throw so much at them, they'll be able to handle it. And the mistake that we made when we crossed the $10 million mark was we opted for getting more coaches and creating a middle management layer. And basically we had I stepped away from the CEO position, and I was more the visionary and let someone else be the manager. And what happened was that manager created more management, and the managers within it, under that person, were managing as well and not doing things. So, what you need are players. You need A players that you can just throw things towards, and they will get the job done, right? And until you get to 100 million, the managers also need to be doers. Okay, unless you're talking about like sales team, then yeah, it doesn't make sense. There's a conflict of interest between the sales manager and the sales reps, because if sales managers start taking calls, then sales reps are not going to respect the manager. Create less managers, have more players overall within your organization. Just have A players. The answer most of the time is not more managers, it is better players, not more coaches, better players. Okay. And with your leaders, what they can do in the team is they can create, they still have their work to do. Yes, they'll have team to manage under them, but your leaders can have one-on-ones. So as a CEO, have one-on-ones with your department leaders, right? This is just so you know what's happening to them on a personal level. And most of the time when they say, hey, I'm busy, what's happening is they're expanding their work to the 8-hour framework. But if they had more work, they can get this like 2 times more work done in that 8-hour window per day, right? There's this saying that your work expands to the frame of your calendar. And that's absolutely true. So have weekly calls with your department heads, and have monthly calls with the entire leadership team. And even you want to do town halls with the rest of your team, that's fine on a monthly basis. It's important to have one-on-ones, but aside from that, just focus on getting the output, whatever the output is, and all the department heads should contribute to your output, whether it's cash flow or building equity value. Now, this next one is actually what is going to free you from the business, so that you're not in the grind all the time and constantly having to micromanage people. Management doesn't mean that you're telling people what their KPIs are. Management means creating clarity for the people under you on the desired behavior. The first step there is you have to understand what type of environment you need to create in order for people to build, right? No one wants to work in a place to make you rich. It's not about that. You need to have a very clear purpose and a very desirable / cool goal, right? People want to have a community. People want to know that they're valued and they're safe. People want to know that you have a destination, you have a mission, you have a vision with what you're doing in the company. People want and need leadership, and they want to be trusted to do whatever you set for them to do. Okay, so your job as the CEO, as a leader of an organization, is to bring in the right people and then just create an environment for them to grow and flourish and be trusted, right? Like, people should feel like, hey, I'm in the place where I feel I can grow, especially with A players. They also want to be challenged. A players want to be challenged. Otherwise, you know, they can coast if they're not being challenged, and they will only be challenged if you don't have too much management and they feel like they can go straight to the CEO and communicate with you, or even with their department heads, because you can have within your with your department heads, you can have decentralized leadership as opposed to super centralized leadership, but that's another thing. But a good leadership, you know, when it comes to talking about creating the mission and vision within the company, well, those are just fancy words of getting everyone on the same thinking and everyone on the same thinking models. For our companies, our core values were 80-20 thinking, right? So we wanted all of them to make those 20% of the right decisions and prioritization that make 80% of the difference, right? It is the fellowship which from the Fellowship of the Rings, if you've watched Lord of the Rings, is like not letting people behind, not letting any person in the team like just by themselves and helping each other out. That was Fellowship as well. So in our companies, the thinking model that we wanted everyone to have, or our core values, fancy word of saying that, is customer champ. We want everyone to do what's best for the customer. Lifelong student. We want everyone to be learning through books and other experts in the field and always getting better. We wanted them to be self starters, not just a self starter is someone that figures out things by themselves as opposed to just constantly asking and leeching off of the higher ups. Hey, figure out yourself. If you can't figure it out, then come to us. 80/20 focus. There's always 100 different things to do. We expect you to figure out what are the 20% of the activities that bring 80% of the results, right? That's the thinking model that we wanted people to have. And lastly, it was fellowship. Fellowship came from Lord of the Rings, where you can take a step or two backwards to help out a fellow teammate, so that we can all move further together. These were our core values. This is the thinking model that we wanted people to have so that the organization can grow. And that's how I have multiple 8-figure companies that don't take much of my time as one of the co-founders. So hopefully all these things helped. This is how you grow to 8 figures and beyond.